Chelsea 0, City 2. First game of the Premier League season. City back with a bang. 3 points. No Rodri, no problem. I think that Chelsea were poor. There was a tiny spell in the first half, like just on the brink of half time, where it looked like Chelsea might have got a foothold in the game a little bit. And they had like a goal ruled out for offside, which was definitely offside. But that Jackson is pure shite. And that Casado and Enzo, how much do they cost? Like between them both, up to nearly 200 million. Kovacic scored a goal today, cost only 30 million, while they got no goals or no assists. Just shows that they should have kept Kovacic really, and they shouldn't have bought Caicedo or Enzo, because both of them are absolutely shite. And that Sanchez, it's a good strike from Kovacic, but he should never have been getting beaten with that shot. And that second half, Chelsea hardly had a touch of the ball, especially in that last 15-20 minutes or so. And people saying that Chelsea will get top 4, give yourself a header wobble. Because they're not getting top 4, and they'd be lucky to get top 6. Because I know it's City, and City's probably the top 2 hardest games in world football, along with Real Madrid at the moment. But that's City without Rodri. We had Foden on the bench today. We had Stones that didn't play any minutes today. We had who else do we have missing? Nathan Ake, another good player missing. I think he was in the squad today, Ake, though, I'm pretty sure. But that was City with no Rodri. And other than Luton, before this, we lost every game without Rodri. And this is Chelsea with, like, how much money have they spent on their squad? Over $1 billion, something like that. Hang on, go back inside. I've got the impression that I'm getting stared at here. Hang on. Close that door because I don't want to get done for copyright, because my dad's got the telly on. But great win for City. I thought the midfield was really good today. Rico Lewis, Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Ruben Diaz, really good today. Even though De Bruyne didn't score, he was creating chances, he was winning possession back, he was taking shots on, he was creating chances. So just because De Bruyne didn't score or assist today doesn't mean that he played bad. He still had a pretty good performance. But man of the match today has got to be Rico Lewis. He was absolutely outstanding. And even though he might not be the most tall player or the most physical player, his technical ability is good enough to be a midfielder. And I feel like he's a player, because we've got so many great technical players within the squad, that goes under the radar for his technical ability. And I think if he was at a club like a Chelsea or a United or a Spurs or like a Newcastle, he'd be like first name on the team sheet. But because he's at City, that won't be the case. So it is a bit harsh on Rico Lewis. But what a player he is. And he's got to get back in that England squad, because I feel like he offers City and England something a bit different, because he can play right back, left back, and he can play midfield as well. So he shows a lot of versatility. And that's a Chelsea team that on paper is meant to be good, but they're really not all that. And I worry for Chelsea, because that's City. Because if you're going to take points off City, it's when we're off the boil a bit, which is in the early parts of the season. But today, that was the first game of the season. No Rodri. And we still beat them comfortably. And we still controlled large parts of the game. There was never a point where I thought like that Chelsea had any foothold in the game, really, for like a long time. Like, it was only like maybe a short spell before half time where I was getting a bit concerned, but other than that, I was never really that worried, because City at half time could have been 2 or 3-0 up. We had the Bernardo Silva shot near post, save from Sanchez. We had De Bruyne, I think, had a shot that went wide. Doku had a strike that was tipped over the bar. We had I think there was a few Doku chances as well. So on another day at half time, it could have been 2 or 3-0. But we stepped it up in the second half. There was like a period up until that second goal where we were absolutely, completely dominant. And even though the statistics show that Chelsea had like a few chances, it doesn't really show the full reflection, because I don't think they ever really had like a chance where I felt like it was going to be a goal, if that makes any sense. And I think that's made my worries go down a bit, with the lack of a Rodri backup being brought in, because Kovacic did really well in that position today. Absolutely outstanding. And we got him for 30 million as well. That's an absolute bargain. He's got to be worth at least 50, 60 million in my opinion. And I'd keep him for a good few years, because he doesn't look like he's going to slow down anytime soon. He's much better than that Nunes anyway. And I think that will be a result that we look back on come the end of the season, because people were doubting us going into this game because we had no Rodri and we didn't have a great record without Rodri last season, and people were hyping up Chelsea going into this game. But the Chelsea hype, I just don't see it. Jackson's shit. Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. That Enzo Fernandez spent more fucking time whinging around at the referee and on his fucking arse than actually trying to create chances and actually trying to put a shift in for the team. And that Caicedo, I don't know how many times he made a pass and it went out of play. Absolutely useless. And the only Chelsea player I would maybe consider to ever go for in the future in regards to City is that Gusto. I thought he was the only Chelsea player that looked like he was trying to do something. The rest of that Chelsea squad was absolutely bobbing today. Even Palmer wasn't in the game. And one thing I've got to say about Palmer, he's not got that technical ability of players like Kudos and stuff like that at West Ham. People will hate me for saying that, but outside of penalties, what does he really do? I know he was Chelsea's top goal scorer by some distance last season, and I think, what did he get in the league? Second or third most goals. But if you put him in like a team that's better, he doesn't put up those numbers. The reason why he's doing that is because he's one of the best players in that Chelsea team. alongside Gusto, and the rest of their squad is completely shite. Because when he was in City, people can't really say that he didn't get minutes, because even when he was playing, he rarely ever showed up. That's why he didn't get chosen that much on a regular basis. So I think Oscar Bob's more technically better than him as well. That's just my take. But great win today. Also, another player that I was impressed with, that's Savinho. I don't know how serious his injury is, or even if he is injured, because he did go off at half-time. But Cucurella couldn't handle him. When Doku was up against Cucurella was handling Doku quite well. But when we switched to put Doku on the left wing and Savio to the right, that's when Savio was getting a lot of joy against Cucurella. And Cucurella, he got showed up for that chant he made on Haaland. Haaland bodied him out of the way. Past Sanchez, great goal, 1-0. And the City fans, fair play to the City fans today. All I could hear on the telly was City fans. You couldn't hear a fucking peep out of the fucking Chelsea rent boy cunts. And I was in a pub, and I think there was quite a few Chelsea fans in there. Miserable fuckers they were. There was like a nice bloke that was sat next to my dad, but the rest of them were miserable cunts. And great result for City today. We've got Ipswich next week. I will be at that game, fingers crossed, should the trains not get cancelled. So I'll do some content for that. But I just thought the game was too easy today. And that Chelsea team is meant to be a team that's on the up, but they're really not good enough. I'm sorry. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done to that Chelsea team. That Sanchez in goal, I don't know how he conceded that Kovacic goal, because it was a decent-ish strike, but in no way in God's name should have been going in. And I don't really think they really had that many good chances. All they kept doing was diving around the floor, begging for penalties. I'm so proud of the City players today. And it just proves that you don't necessarily need to spend loads of money to do well. Because what Chelsea have done is they've spent too much money on players that are not good enough. Because Enzo Fernandez, they bought him based on one good World Cup. Caicedo, they bought him based on one good season at Brighton. Sanchez, similar thing. He was doing well for Brighton, but what's he done for Chelsea? Been pure shit. And what's going to happen to Pedro Neto? He's done well at Wolves, but Chelsea's going to turn him into shit as well. Because Chelsea and Man United, those two clubs, ruin players for fun. And Chelsea don't get talked about with that enough either. Because look how much they've spent. And it's only been able to get them in the top 6. They got nowhere near the top 4 last season. And it's likely to be the same again this season. Because they're just not good enough. They just spend their money on heaps of shit. They don't spend their money well. You don't necessarily have to go out there and get loads and loads of players. Because that doesn't always work, and it's not worked with Chelsea at all. You just need to get a few players that are Premier League proven or proven at the highest level, like European, and get them for a decent fee. You don't necessarily have to go out and spend 130 million there, 115 million there on Enzo and Caicedo. They're just bobbins at the minute, Chelsea. And unless Todd Boehly goes, it's just going to continue to be the same. And that Maresca, I fear for him. I really do fear for him. I feel like he won't last a season. Because Chelsea won't give him time, that's for starters. because they never give any manager time. And they still need a striker. And if that happens, then maybe they do a bit better. But it's not just a striker. They need, like, a few good players in. Because I didn't think their defence was particularly good today. I thought we got through them too easily for that first goal. And there was a lack of closing down for the second one. So, that's just my personal take. It was just too easy. Even though the statistics say that it was a close game, the actual chances, quality, from City was a lot better than Chelsea. Because City had, like, 6, 7 good chances. Chelsea, what do they have? Like, maybe, like, one decent chance, which was Jackson. But it was, like, pretty much straight at Ederson. But I'm convinced that we're going to win the league. I know it's a bit naive to say that after one game, but we've already had an improvement on a team result, because last season we never beat Chelsea in the league once. This season, first game we beat them already, so we've put that right compared to last season. And that's a big team that we beat without Rodri. Last season we only beat, no disrespect to Luton, but a small club in Luton at home as well. And we beat Chelsea without Rodri as well. And they're supposed to be a big club as well. But just absolutely great performance today from City. And hopefully we kick on now. Ipswich, West Ham, get 6 points out of 6 against them, 9 out of 9, and then go into the international break on a high. And then come back after the international break, keep going, City till we die, up the Blues, come on City.